A week long enough. I said it with a mouth full of chips, like confidence was something you could chew. I could do that. The guy on my TV had the kind of calm you only get when your life has never cornered you. He crouched beside a tent like he was a loyal dog, tightened a knot with 2 fingers, and smiled at the camera. Well, the forest behind him stood perfect. Sunlit, quiet, harmless. Don't overthink it, he said. Just respect the basics. I snorted, wiped my fingers on my hoodie, and rewound the part where he made fire look like an easy decision. Then I opened my notes app. Week trip checklist. Tent, sleeping bag, food, water, filter, first aid, knife, flashlight and batteries, rope or string, lighter, map, maybe, phone works too, and extra socks. I stared at the list like it proved something. I was not even an outdoors person. My idea of nature was a park bench and pretending I liked the smell of pollen. But the videos, man, the videos made it look like you could step outside your life, breathe clean air for a week and come back fixed, like the woods were a reset button. I looked up unregulated forest near me and felt a weird little thrill when the search results didn't look like an official brochure. Just scattered posts, half-formed directions, and one vague warning in a forum thread. No rangers, no service, just a pull-off law. People go missing, probably drunk hikers. I laughed. People always wrote dramatic stuff online. I watched 2 more videos, then 3. Then I was reading reviews for tents like I was buying a car. By midnight, I had a tent in my cart, a sleeping pad I had convinced myself I didn't need, and a spool of bright blue utility string because one guy in a video said, always leave markers. Always. I picture myself tying neat little bands around trees, the smart guy, the prepared guy. I picture myself coming home and telling people about it like it was nothing. I hit order. The next day, I went to the grocery store like I was prepping for war. My basket filled with things that made sense in my head. Beef jerky, trail mix, instant oatmeal, granola bars, canned soup, those vacuum-packed tuna packets. I stood in front of the water aisle and did math on my fingers like I was suddenly an engineer. A woman beside me grabbed 2 bottles and walked away. I stared after her like she had solved something I hadn't. I bought a water filter too, just in case, I told myself, like I wasn't going to be an hour away from my apartment and my idiot little life. At the checkout, the cashier asked if I was going somewhere fun. Camping, I said, and my voice came out more confident than I felt. Where at? Just a forest. He laughed like he did not care. Be safe, man. I drove home with the trunk rattling, the tent in a box, the food in bags, and the blue string sitting on top like a promise. When I got to work, I made up a reason for time off that sounded responsible. My uncle's coming into town, I told my manager. Family thing. Fine, she said, not even looking up from her screen. Just don't make it a habit. I smiled, nodded, walked away, and felt like I had already won. The parking lot was barely a lot, just a patch of packed dirt off a cracked road, 2 dented signs with fading paint, and a few cars sitting crooked, like their owners did not care how they left them. No booth, no ranger station, no friendly map. The forest started at the edge like a mouth. I turned off my car and listened. Birds, sure. Wind, sure. But there was also a deeper sound, low and constant, like a breath you did not notice until you realized you were holding yours. I shouldered my pack, heavier than I had expected, and started down the marked trail, the safe route. The path was clear enough, dirt and old leaves packed into a line. Someone had placed small stones in spots like they cared about guiding strangers. The trees were tall, The trunks dark and the canopy above made the sunlight arrive in pieces. It was honestly beautiful. I actually laughed aloud, alone, like, see? People are dramatic. This is fine. I walked for a while. My confidence grew. My legs warmed up. I took a few pictures like I was documenting a documentary. Then I heard voices ahead. 3 people, maybe 4, talking without any effort to be quiet. I caught a glimpse of them between the trees. Backpacks, boots, comfortable posture. They moved like the woods belonged to them. One of them said, "The easy path is so boring." Another voice, female, laughed. "You see the same stuff, same trees, same nothing." I got replied, "Off-path is better, more to see." I slowed down like I had not heard, like I was just casually drifting into earshot. They passed me and I threw on my best friendly outdoors guy smile. "Hey," I said, "sorry, I couldn't help overhearing. You said there's an off-path route?" They all stopped and for a second I felt the air change. Just a shift in attention, like I had stepped into a spotlight. One guy looked me over head to toe. His eyes lingered on my clean shoes. "You knew?" he asked. "Not like, totally," I said, lying on instinct. The girl smirked, and it wasn't kind. It was amused in a way that made me feel like I had said something stupid. "You want the cascade," she said. "The what?" "The waterfall," she corrected, like she was tired of people. "That's why you're asking without asking." My chest tightened with excitement. Yeah, that. I saw something online about online," one of them repeated, and the group chuckled like it was a shared joke. The first guy tilted his head. "You sure you want it? You go off path, you go off the rules." "What rules?" I asked. He lifted his hand in a shrug. "The rules of not being dumb." They laughed again. The girl's smile widened. "It's not hard," she said. "Just listen." She pointed off the trail. "You keep going until you see a rock formation. Looks like stacked teeth. Can't miss it. When you see it, you go left. No, wait, right." She paused, eyes flicking to the others like she was checking a script. "It's right," the guy confirmed. "Right," she repeated. "And then you keep going until the trees start to look weird." "Weird?" I said, laughing a little. The guy stepped closer, not too close. Close enough I could smell his sweat and something metallic under it. Until the trees started looking as if you're somewhere else, he said, soft. My laugh died. Then he smiled, like he had just told a joke. "You'll know. Don't panic. If you want to be extra, leave markers." I was going to do that anyway, I said, and I pulled a spool of blue string from my pack like I was proving I belonged here. The girl's eyes sharpened. "Blue," she said. "Cute. What's wrong with blue?" She looked at the others. They all shared the same expression. "This guy doesn't know." "Nothing," she said, smiling again. "Good luck." They walked off without another word, disappearing into the trees like he had never been there. I stood there for a moment, spool in hand, and told myself that tightness in my chest was excitement, not a warning. When I found the rock formation, my stomach dropped. It really did look like stacked teeth, jagged stone, pale against dark soil, rising in uneven columns like something had pushed them up from underneath. I walked around it, took a picture, and made myself laugh again. "All right," I said to the trees. "Right." I stepped off the main path and into the off-path route. It was immediate. The ground changed, the air changed, even the sound changed. Like someone had put a blanket over the woods. Birds went quiet. The wind did not stop, but it felt like it didn't reach me. I told myself it was psychological. That's what YouTube always said. Don't let your mind make monsters out of shadows. I tied my first marker right away. A band of blue string around a tree at eye level. I made the knot tight. I tugged it twice. "See?" I muttered. "Smart." I kept going. The forest here was thicker. The trees grew closer. The branches laced together in a way that made the light feel trapped above me. Flowers, small, pale things, clustered near the roots like they couldn't stand to be seen. Mushrooms grew in rings, and I caught myself stepping around them without knowing why. The deeper I went, the more the forest felt occupied. Not by animals, but by something else. Like I was walking through someone's home without being invited. I tied blue string every so often, sometimes on a trunk, sometimes on a low branch, always at eye level, always facing the direction I came from. By late afternoon, my shoulders ached from my pack. My feet ached in a new way, hot and deep, like bruises forming under skin. The excitement had drained out into a tired, dull determination. I found a small clearing that didn't feel like a trap and set up my tent. I got the poles wrong twice, swore under my breath, finally got it standing, lopsided but upright. I ate cold tuna out of the packet like a raccoon. When darkness fell, it fell quickly, not a sunset, more like the forest simply deciding it was done showing me anything. I lay in my sleeping bag on the hard ground and told myself that discomfort was part of it, the experience, the journey. I listened to the woods settle, and when I finally started to drift off, I heard something that didn't fit, a soft tugging sound, like string pulled tight. I sat up so fast my neck cracked. Silence. I held my breath, waiting for another sound. Nothing. I lay back down, heart too loud in my ears, and forced myself to sleep. The next morning, my body felt like it had been dropped downstairs. My hips hurt from the ground, my shoulders hurt from carrying, my ankles felt wrong, like they had gotten too big, like just aching. I laughed through it because I didn't want to admit how miserable I was. I'll get used to it, I told myself, while shoving granola into my mouth like fuel. I packed up and folded my blue markers deeper in because in my head the cascade was ahead. It had to be. It was a reward, the whole point. Days blurred the way nature does when you're too tired to frame it. I saw deer once, 3 of them, watching me from behind ferns, so still they could have been carved in. When I lifted my phone to take a picture, they turned in perfect unison and disappeared like a thought. I heard a bird call that sounded like laughter. I smelled something sweet and rotten at the same time, like fruit let out too long. I told myself it was just the forest being the forest. On the 3rd day, I found yellow string. It was tied around a tree lower than mine would have been, and it wasn't tied neatly. It looked torn, like something had yanked it until the knot failed. A frayed end dangled, wet with sap. Yellow, not blue. I crouched and touched it with 2 fingers. It felt strange, too stiff, like it wasn't string so much as something else. Left out here for too long. My stomach tightened. Someone else had been here. That should have been comforting. It should have meant there was a way back, a way forward, a path other people knew. It meant that I was not the first one that had passed through here before. I stood and looked around. No footprints, no broken branches, no sign of anyone. Just trees, just quiet. I forced a laugh, louder than necessary. Probably somebody taking their markers, and I said, trying not to confuse people. Responsible. I walked away before my brain could argue. On the 4th day, I found the cascade. I heard it before I saw it. Water, hammering stone, a constant roar that drowned out thought. The trees thinned, and light returned in bright shards that made the leaves look electric. Then I stepped into the opening and saw it. A waterfall spilling down a cliff face into a basin so clear I could see rocks at the bottom, rounded and pale like bones. It was stunning, unreal, like I walked into the thumbnail of a video. I stood there grinning, exhausted and proud. Worth it, I whispered, and my voice sounded small against the water. I stripped down to my underwear and dove in. The cold hit like a punishment, like the water didn't want me in it. I came up gasping, laughing, shouting because I was alive and it was real and I was doing it. I took pictures, I took videos, I held my phone up, smiling like a man who had conquered something. Then night came, and my confidence returned with it, soft and warm. I lay in my tent near the sound of rushing water and thought about my bed at home with a kind of distant dread. I didn't want to go back to work, to fluorescent lights, to emails, to my manager's dead eyes. I wanted this. I fell asleep smiling, and that's when the dream found me. It wasn't a nightmare at first, not the way nightmares usually are. There was no monster, no chase, just light. A pale crack in the darkness, like the sky had split and something bright was pressing through. The forest in the dream wasn't the forest I knew. It was quieter, stripped of detail. The trees were outlines, the ground was black, and voices moved through it like wind through reeds. Not shouting, not whispering, just speaking. My name, for starters, soft, patient, like someone calling a child home. Come closer, the voices said, overlapping, layered, not quite male or female, not human. I couldn't see mouths, I couldn't see faces, but I could feel the attention pressing in from all sides. You won't leave, the voices said, and there was something almost tender in it. You don't have to. I tried to speak, but my mouth wouldn't form words. I tried to run, but my legs moved like they were underwater. The crack of light widened. For a moment, something shifted behind it, shadows inside the brightness, like shapes moving under skin. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that if I stepped into the light, I had never be the same. I woke up choking on air. My sleeping bag was damp with sweat. My hair stuck to my forehead. The roar of the waterfall outside sounded harsher now, like it was laughing at me. I sat there, listening, trying to convince my shaking hands to stop. It was a dream, I whispered, just a dream. But the words didn't feel like they belonged to me. When I finally crawled out of the tent, my throat felt raw. The morning looked normal, beautiful. The trees didn't care about me, the rocks didn't move, the water didn't change. I forced myself to smile again, packed up, turned around, time to follow my blue markers back. For the first day of returning, it worked. Blue string here, blue string there, and one over there. The relief was so strong it almost made me dizzy. Each marker felt like proof that I was still in control, that I wasn't the kind of person who got lost. By the 6th day, I was already tasting home. I could picture my shower, my couch, my stupid little routine. I could picture telling someone about this and watching their face change from polite interest to envy. I woke early, packed fast, and started walking, eager now. The way you get when the finish line is supposed to be close. I reached for the next marker. Nothing. I stopped. I stared at the tree where I was sure it should be. The bark was scarred, with old lines where string could have been, but there was nothing there now. I turned in a slow circle. No blue anywhere. Just trees. Just the same repeated trunks, the same repeated leaves, the same repeated silence. My mouth went dry. No, I said, laughing once sharp. No. I started walking faster, eyes scanning at frantic speed. I told myself maybe I missed one, maybe the wind knocked it loose, maybe I tied the knot wrong, maybe no blue. I kept going straight because what else could I do? The forest didn't open up, it didn't give me the mercy of a familiar path, it didn't give me a sign. By the time the lights started to dim, panic was a physical thing in my stomach, cold and heavy. I checked my food, not enough. Checked my water, not enough. I told myself, one more day, just one more day. You'll find a safe path, you'll find a parking lot, you'll find your car. I set up my tent in a spot that didn't feel safe and ate the last of my jerky with shaking hands. That night, sleep didn't come gently. It came in pieces, and somewhere within those pieces I heard my name. Not inside my head, outside, clear, like someone standing just beyond the tent wall. I sat up so fast my spine screamed, "Hello?" My voice cracked. Silence. Then again, my name, longer this time, stretched like a song. I grabbed my knife. My hands were so sweaty I almost dropped it. I unzipped the tent and shoved my head out into the darkness. "Who's out there?" I screamed, and the sound ripped out of me like something alive. The forest swallowed it. For a long second there was nothing. Then the air shifted, like the woods had leaned back, and the voices stopped, not fading, stopping, like they had decided to let me have my tantrum. I stood there shaking, knife in my fist, staring into a wall of trees. Nothing moved, no footsteps, no animals, no human breath. I backed into the tent and zipped it closed. I forced myself to lie down. I stared at the ceiling until my eyes burned. Eventually, exhaustion dragged me under, angry and unwilling. Morning. My mouth tasted like metal. My head pounded. My hands trembled when I tried to pack. I walked and walked and walked. No markers, no path, just repetition. Then, around midday, I saw it, a figure. Between trees, far enough that my brain tried to deny it, close enough that my heart reacted anyway. It was shaped like a person, but not made like one. It looked like a shadow that had forgotten how to be flat. Mushrooms sprouted from it, white caps along its shoulder, darker clusters along its spine. Vines threaded through it like veins. Its outline blurred at the edges as if it couldn't decide where it ended. It moved behind the rock. My breath caught in my throat like hope. "Hey," I yelled. "Hello." I started jogging without thinking, stumbling over roots, pack bouncing on my shoulders. "Wait, I'm lost." I rounded the rock, nothing, empty space, no figure, just a patch of ferns and damp earth. I spun around wildly. "Hello," my voice broke. "Please, where are you?" Silence. My lungs burned, my eyes watered. I dropped to my knees, hands pressed to the ground like I could anchor myself. That's when I saw it, a pile of blue string, right there at the base of the rock. My blue string, dozens of pieces tangled and wet, frayed as if they had been torn away by force, not cut cleanly, not sliced, pulled, ripped, like someone had followed my trail and stripped it bare. I stared at it, and my mind tried to build a rational explanation. Animals, with someone messing with me, but the pile was too neat, too intentional, too present. I picked it up with shaking hands. It smelled like sap and something sour. Someone had been behind me the whole time, watching me, following me. That thought hit harder than hunger. My water was almost gone now. My food was gone. I had the filter with me, but there was no water source close enough. Just that lake, and I was not about to go back there. I told myself one thing over and over, like a prayer. Get out, get out, get out. I camped again because I had no choice. Curled into myself like a child trying to disappear. That night, the dream did not bother pretending. Light voices, the crack in the dark widening, and behind it, shapes like fingers pressing from the other side. I woke up sobbing, my face wet, my throat raw, and I hated myself for it. I hated the forest more. I saw yellow again the next day, a short strip of it tied low on a tree like bait. I stared at it for a long time. If someone else had been here, if someone else had left markers, maybe the yellow would lead the way out. Or maybe it would lead to whatever was stripping my blue strings. I followed it anyway, because desperation makes you stupid. It led me to a campsite that looked like it had been abandoned in a hurry, or destroyed. A tent sat sagging and ripped, the fabric torn outward from inside like something had pushed through it. Stakes pulled loose, guy lines snapped. My stomach churned. I searched the side with frantic hands, found a half-crushed plastic bottle with a few inches of water left. I drank it too fast, too greedy, and when the bottle was empty, I stared at it in horror. "Idiot," I whispered, "you idiot." I found a small wood cutting axe next. Rusted, The handle warped from weather. I grabbed it like it could fix the world. Then I found a journal in a plastic bag under a rock. The pages swollen but readable. My hands shook as I opened it. The first entries were normal, boring even. A guy writing about how he wanted something different, how the forest felt like freedom, how he had never slept so well. Then the handwriting changed, messier, tighter, like the words were being squeezed out of him. He wrote about hearing voices calling him home. He wrote about seeing shadows that were not shadows. He wrote about the light, a crack in the sky, bright and clean, appearing at night and making him feel watched, judged. The last entry was short. If I go to it, I'll understand. If I go to it, I'll be free. If I go to it, it won't leave me alone. I shut the journal with a gasp, like he had burned me. Under the journal was a camera in a cracked case. I turned it on with a trembling thumb and scrolled. Forest photos, plants, animals, sunlight through leaves, then the last images. Trees with something like teeth where bark should be, pale points emerging from splits in the trunk, that same shadow figure half hidden behind logs, vines draped like hair. A beam of light shaped like a cross slicing through the trees, and then the crack, a bright vertical tear between trunks, like the world had been opened with a blade. My breath came fast and shallow. I shoved the camera into my pack and backed away from the campsite like it might grab my ankles. I turned and started walking in what I thought was the opposite direction, backtracking. That's what you do, that's what people say. But the forest didn't feel like a place that respected logic. That night, the voices returned. They didn't scream, they coaxed. They said my name like they liked it, like they had practiced. I stayed in my tent, axe in my lap, knees drawn to my chest. Then light began to bleed through the fabric, pale and cold, bright enough to outline my hands. I held my breath and tried to ignore it, tried to blame it on lightning, tried to pretend thunder wasn't making the ground vibrate. Finally, I couldn't stand it. I unzipped the tent and stepped out with the axe raised like a joke. Rain poured down, hard, loud. The forest should have been chaos, but the light, wherever it was steady, unwavering, like it wasn't part of the weather. I lifted the camera and took a picture. Flash, trees, nothing else. I took another. Flash, trees. I lowered the camera, heart hammering. I looked around for my flashlight, but I couldn't find it. So this was the best I could do. And with that in mind, I took a third, and my hands shook so hard the picture blurred. Nothing. I stood there in the rain, staring at empty woods, and felt my sanity wobble like a loose tooth. When I climbed back into the tent, I didn't sleep. I wanted to die, but morning came, like it always does, cruel and ordinary. 2 days passed with nothing, no voices, no shadows, no light, just walking, hunger, thirst, my thoughts turning mean. By the end of the second day, my lips were cracked, my tongue felt too big for my mouth. I started hearing my mother's voice in the wind, not calling my name, just saying things like, "Come inside, you're tracking dirt," and my sister laughing, light and annoyed. He's pretending he's Bear Grylls again. I stopped walking and pressed my palms to my eyes like I could push the hallucinations out. "Stop," I whispered. "Stop, stop, stop." That's when I heard something that didn't sound like wind. Static, faint, thin, coming from somewhere ahead. It made my heart slam into my ribs. I ran, like my body remembered how to be alive. I burst into a small clearing and found a handheld radio sitting on a stump. Like someone had placed it there for me. I snatched it up and held it to my mouth. "Hello," I rasped. "Hello." A woman's voice crackled through. "Oh my God, Thank God. Stay on. Don't move. Who is this? What's your name? My name is, I saw a heart, Evan. Evan Hale. Evan, listen to me. Are you alone? Yes, I'm alone. I'm lost. My voice broke. I'm seeing things. I haven't eaten. I don't know where I am. Where did you find the radio? She asked quickly. On a stump, like it had been dropped, just sitting here. Silence for a fraction of a second. Then, do you see anyone near you? Any movement? I turned, scanning the trees. No, nothing. Evan, she whispered, voice sharper now. What are you doing in that area? I went camping. Off path. Someone told me about a cascade and I heard myself rambling and hated it. I thought I could handle it. I didn't think. Stop. Her voice snapped like a rope pulled tight. Have you seen it? Seen what? You know what? She hissed. Don't make me say it. I felt my throat close. I saw something, a shape like a person, but... Did you take a picture of it? She shouted so loud my ear rang. I jerked, thumbing the radio, scrambling for the camera. In my pack of shaking fingers, I dropped it. It hit the ground hard. I snatched it up, pointed at the trees, looking around to see if I could find it. There was nothing. He wasn't here today. Not yet. No, I whispered. I haven't had a chance. Have you taken a picture of it? She demanded. I was not able to. The radio crackled with a sound like teeth grinding. Then she said slower, careful. Evan, you have seen it. I don't know what I have seen, I said, voice rising. Everything looks the same in here. You don't understand, she said. You're not just lost. You're inside something. Inside something. The words made my skin crawl. She took a deep breath. Listen, I can help you, but I need proof. I need a picture, and I need something else. What? I whispered. The original owner of that area had a recorder. She said, always on. It's important. I need you to find it. Why? Because it holds the voices. Her voice trembled, and I realized she was scared. It holds the map. It holds the reason. My mouth went numb. What reason? Evan, she said, and her tone shifted into something almost gentle. If you want to leave, you need leverage. Leverage against what? The forest, she whispered, like saying it too loud will make it look up. She cleared her throat, switched the radio to channel 2. I hesitated. Why? Just do it. My fingers fumbled the dial. Channel 2 was pure static, thicker, denser than the normal hiss. It felt close, like the radio was pointing me somewhere. That, she said, voice tight, that's the recorder's signal. It will pull you toward it. When you find the recorder, come back to this channel, channel 1. Understand? Why can't you just, I swallowed, why can't you just come get me now? Because I can walk into it without a good reason, she said. Not anymore. My hands were shaking so hard the radio rattled. I'll do it, I said, because what else was there? I'll find it. Good, she said, and I heard something strange in her voice, relief mixed with dread. Evan, do not go to the light. The what? The crack, she snapped. If you see it, you turn away. You do not listen. You do not bargain. I swallowed. Okay, she echoed. Stay alive. I turned back toward the direction I had come from, heading for the campsite I had last slept at, because I didn't know what else to do. The static on channel 2 was louder now, like I was almost close to that recorder. The camera battery icon blinked red. I used the flash sparingly, only when the woods got too thick to trust my feet. Every flash made the trees leap into existence and then vanish again. Once, in the distance, the flash caught a shape that looked like a tree standing alone. I blinked and walked toward it. When I flashed again, the tree was not there. My breath hitched. I told myself it was an angle, distance, my brain starving itself. I found what I thought was my campsite, but but it felt wrong. The ground looked disturbed, like something had crawled through it. My tent wasn't where I remember leaving it, and I couldn't tell if it was because I had moved or because the forest had. I stood there too long, listening, and the feeling returned, being watched. Slowly, I tilted my head upward, where the moon should have been. There was an eye, huge, pale, unblinking, not floating in the sky like a horror movie monster, more like the sky had always been an eye and I had only just started noticing. My knees went weak, I blinked hard. The eye was gone. The stars stared down like normal. I laughed, brittle, and the sound felt wrong coming out of me. I don't remember lying down. I don't remember closing my eyes. I don't remember sleeping. But I woke up screaming, drenched, and the radio was beside me in the tent like it had never left it. I stared at it until my chest stopped burning. Then I whispered, "Okay." I shoved the radio in my pocket and I followed the static. It pulled me like a scent. 2 days passed in a blur of thirst and shaking legs. The static grew louder, sharper, almost musical. Sometimes it sounded like voices under the hiss, like someone trying to speak through it. My body was falling. My mind was mean. I started hearing my mother clearly now. "Evan, come inside." I started hearing my sister too. "You always do this. You always think you can handle it." I tried to argue back, then realized I was talking to her, and that made me cry. Just a quiet, angry leak from my eyes that I wiped away like it was sweat. Then I heard screaming, real screaming, a human voice tearing itself raw. "Help me." I froze. It came again, closer, frantic. I ran toward it without thinking. My feet slipped into wet leaves. My pack yanked at my shoulders. I crashed through brush and ferns like a panicked animal, and then the ground vanished beneath me. I fell. A short drop, but enough. I hit hard, rolled, my head cracked against something, and the world turned to white noise. When I woke, the rain was hitting my face. I lifted my hands to wipe it away and felt something sticky. I opened my eyes and saw red on my fingers. For 1 second, I thought it was raining blood. My breath turned into a sob. Then I looked up. A body hung above me between trees, skinned, split open, leaking, not swinging like a fresh scale, just emptied, split apart, and hollow. A slow drip, warm, continuous, like the forest was squeezing it for what it had left. My throat closed. I scrambled up backward on my elbows, slipping, gagging until I hit a tree and couldn't go no farther. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I stared until my vision blurred and something in my head snapped into a clean, simple thought. "That's going to be you." I got up and ran. I ran until my legs felt shredded, until my legs shook like they were going to fold, until I fell and couldn't get up right away. I curled into myself and cried in a way that felt animal, deep, ugly, helpless. Then, in the middle of it, the forest spoke my name again, not from everywhere, from one place ahead. And when I lifted my head, I saw the light. The crack between trees, clean, bright. It made the darkness around it look dirty. I stood, shaking, and walked toward it like I couldn't help myself. The closer I got, the warmer it felt, like sunlight without the comfort, like a spotlight on a stage. No voices swelled, not screaming, inviting. "You don't need to chase a recorder," the voices said. "You don't need to bring her anything." "Who are you?" I whispered, throat raw. "We are what stays," they said. "We are what remembers. The voices are ours." My eyes burned from staring into the crack. Shadows moved inside it like shapes behind frosted glass. "I just want to go home," I said, and my voice sounded small enough to break. "There is no home," the voices murmured, "not for you." My chest tightened. What are you talking about? You left the stove on, they said softly, and then sentenced in my body like a fist. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. You walked away. The voices continued, gentle, cruel. You wanted a night out. You wanted the noise. You wanted to forget. No, I whispered. No, that. You came back to smoke, they said, to heat, to screaming, to your mother calling your name until she couldn't. My vision blurred. I choked. It was an accident. It was. You can be forgiven, the voice had said, and the warmth of the light felt like hands on my shoulders. You can be saved. Just come to us. You have nothing left to return to. There's nothing back home for you. My knees bent. I almost stepped forward. Then the radio in my pocket hissed sharper. Channel 2 static screamed. The recorder was close. The lights warm turned hot. Stop, the voices snapped. The first real anger. Leave it. The voices belong here. I pulled the radio out with shaking hands and forced the dial. Channel 1. Hello? I rasped. Her voice came through instantly, like she had been holding her breath. Evan, where are you? Talk to me. I found the signal, I stammered. It's close. I'm close. Do you see the light? She demanded. My eyes flickered to the crack. Yes. Turn away, she barked. Right now. I stumbled backward, wrenching my gaze away like it hurt to do it. The light screamed, not without sound, but with pressure like my skull was being squeezed. I ran, following the static, the hiss guiding me like a leash. It brought me back to the cliffside where I had fallen, and there on the ground, half buried in wet leaves, a small recorder, black, scratched, soaked. Still on, I grabbed it. The moment my fingers closed around it, the force reacted like I had slapped it. The light behind me flared so bright I saw it through my eyelids. The voices roared, "You will not leave." I ran until I couldn't feel my feet. I screamed into the radio, "I have it, I have the recorder." "Good," she said, voice urgent, "is it still recording?" I checked it for the blinking light. Yes. Okay. We can track you off the radio. Stay still. I can't. I sobbed. Something's coming. The trees I had shifted. A shape dropped from above, silent as falling ash. The figure, the blind man. It hit the ground in front of me like he had been waiting. Mushrooms on his shoulders, vines crawling over his chest like living ropes. No face I could understand, just darkness where identity should be. It didn't lunge like an animal, it reached like a person. Its hands, if there were hands, wrapped around my wrist. Vines exploded up my arms, spiraling, tightening. I fought, kicked, trashed. My axe was still strapped to my pack, unreachable. The vines crawled over my shoulders, across my ribs, squeezing me like a hug meant to break bones. I screamed into the radio, "Get off me! Get it off!" "Evan," she shouted, "Evan, listen, do not let it take the recorder." I tried to rip free and felt something tear, being exploited, white, hot, immediate. I looked down and saw my arm, not cut cleanly, pulled, wrenched. The vines tightened and my shoulder screamed as something gave way. I screamed so loud my throat ripped raw. Blood poured down my side. I fell backward, gasping, staring at what used to be part of me now hanging in the vines like meat caught in roots. The figure didn't move fast. It didn't need to. It simply watched me. And the vines dragged my torn arm into itself, absorbing, treading it under fungus and green like it was knitting. The forest behind it filled with movement. Shadows shifted between trunks, voices rising, angry now. "Come back. You can't abandon us. She won't save you." I clutched the recorder to my chest with my remaining arm and stumbled upright, dizzy, bleeding, shaking. I screamed at the trees, "Come and get it then," and I ran. I hooked the radio to my pocket, jammed the recorder into my pack and ran like my life was a debt collector. I drew my knife behind me into darkness. A scream answered, sharp and furious. The voices surged, the air thickened. I looked up. The eye was there again. Not the moon, the eye, huge, pale, unblinking, watching. My legs wobbled, my vision tunneled. I was going to pass out. I was going to fall, and that will be it. Then, faint at first, then undeniable, a helicopter. The sound cut through the forest like salvation. Evan, the woman screamed to the radio, I see you, keep moving, keep moving. Light strode to trees. Searchlights. I sobbed with relief so intense it made me sick. I stumbled toward it, screaming, I'm here, I'm here. A rope dropped through the branches like an answer to my prayers. I reached for it and something grabbed my ankle from the ground, not pulling down, pulling back. I kicked, but the grip tightened. Another bind wrapped around my calf, then my other leg, then my waist. My body jerked backwards like the forest had a hook in me. I screamed into the radio, it has me, I can't, hold on, she yelled, hold on. The helicopter hovered above, wind blasting leaves into chaos. The rope swung, a figure descended her. She hit the ground hard, boots skidding, and ran to me. She had a harness and a rifle and eyes that looked like she had seen this before and left anyway. Evan, she shouted, grabbing my remaining arm. Give me your hand. I can't, I sobbed, feeling the binds tightening, dragging me backward inch by inch. She janked. I screamed. My shoulder burned like fire. She raised her rifle and fired into the veins. Nothing, no reaction, no break, no blood. She fired again. Nothing. The figure stepped out of the trees behind me, silent, patient. She stared at it, and her face changed. Fear, recognition, hatred, helplessness, all at once. Please, I gasped. Please, don't. She looked at my pack, the recorder. She snapped, do you have it? My mouth opened in disbelief. You said you'd save me, I whispered. Her jaw clenched, her eyes flicked up to the rope, to the helicopter, to the trees, then back to me. I'm trying, she hissed. Give me the recorder. My hand shook as I fumbled for it. The binds tugged harder, dragging me backward toward the figure like it was reeling in a fish. I shoved the recorder at her. She snatched it, clipped it to her harness like it was more precious than my life. Then she grabbed my face with both hands and forced me to look at her. I need you to listen, she said, voice breaking. I cannot help you. My eyes flooded. Then what do I do? She swallowed hard, and in that second I saw it clearly. She had made peace with losing me the moment she saw the binds. I'm sorry, she whispered. No, I choked. No, please. She squeezed my face like a goodbye. Then she turned, grabbed the rope, and hooked herself back on. She didn't look back when the helicopter lifted her. She didn't look back when the searchlight moved away. The wind of the rotors tore through the trees, and for one glorious, horrifying moment, I thought maybe the force would rip the binds off me. It didn't. The helicopter rose, the rope vanished into the sky, and the forced attention returned in full. The voices swelled, satisfied now. She never cared. She used you. You belong here. I screamed until my throat gave out. The binds pulled me backward into the figure's arms like a lover reclaiming something stolen. Mushrooms brushed my cheek. The smell of raw and sap filled my lungs. The light, the crack appeared ahead, bright and waiting. The eye above did not blink, and I was dragged toward that clean, impossible brightness. I realized the worst part wasn't dying. It was understanding, too late, that the force had not been trying to kill me. It had been trying to keep me, to absorb me, because it already knew my name, because it heard my guilt whispering long before my mouth ever did. Somewhere, deep in the static, somewhere, deep in the recorder she was flying away with, my voice was probably already tangled with the others, calling, soft, patient in buying the next idiot who watched too many videos and thought I could do that.